Yo, as good as Monticello, and this is a verse from Ecclesiastes 2, and it talks about the futility of work, and I've experienced this feeling, so I wanted to talk about it. And let me explain deeper. I had this in my screenshots. This is from where is it from? February 16th, 2022. So I've had a bit of time and experience after I screenshotted this verse with life and stuff. So yeah, I've came to hate. I came to hate all my hard work here on earth, for I must leave to others everything I've earned. And who can tell whether my successors will be wise or foolish? Yet they will control everything I've gained by my skill and hard work under the sun. How meaningless. So I gave up in despair, questioning the value of my hard work in this world. Some people work wisely with knowledge and skill, then must leave the fruit of their efforts to someone who hasn't worked for it. This too is meaningless, a great tragedy. So what do people get in this life for all their hard work and anxiety? Their days of labor are filled with pain and grief. Even at night, their minds cannot rest. It's all meaningless. Man, on a planet that makes trees that have food from the ground, that nurture themselves, there sure isn't a lot of stuff to go around, but it doesn't make work futile. From the human perspective, it can feel that way. There's a verse from Ecclesiastes 3. I don't even know if I said that right, but it kind of like backs it up. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep time and a time to throw away time. No, I've read that wrong. A time to keep and a time to throw away. Did I read that wrong? A time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate. Man, there's a time to lie and a time to craft. He who laughs first cries last. Laugh now, cry later. Sometimes it can seem like you're in a bad situation, and when you down and people, I don't want to say that because nobody is above anyone else, but sometimes it can feel like people laugh at you when you're down. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes, freaking dude. Nah, man, I ain't gonna lie, that sucks. When people laugh at you when you're down, like when you know that you aren't at your full 100%, and people perceive you and they think they think they're getting the full version of you, like this is who you really are. I ain't gonna lie, sometimes it sucks, but if you know that you can like be better, or you know who you really are, it's up to you to put it on display and to be 100% all the time. Cause now the question gets brought up: why weren't you at 100%? What you was doing? You was lacking, and now it's like if this is becoming a consistent issue, why are you consistently not at 100%? So, it's like also it's a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones. If you are building a settlement and you want hard foundations. You are going to make sure that you don't build on top of sand. So you would gather stones to make sure that the area is solid. Or there could be a time where you need to gather stones. Let's say you want to have a rock war. You feel me? You need ammo. Because you know that you finna be. I don't know if y'all ever had a rock war. But I have. And some people pick up pointy rocks. Those people are menaces. You know who you are, buddy. Man, rock wars are actually crazy. Me and my friends were actually outside having rock wars. Like, now I gotta tell y'all the story. So, there was like this housing complex. There was a driveway, and you come in. There's like a house, mailboxes, and you go further. There's like stone rocks to keep people from like driving too far into the corners on each side, and there was a bunch of smaller rocks in the fray. Me and my friend decided that it was a good idea to sit on opposite sides of the street and sit behind rocks and freaking have warfare. We was having warfare, I swear. Like, on some real stuff, one of us could have really came out on the other side, like, with mental damage or like, hey. If you looking at this video right now, you probably thinking, dude, you have mental damage right now. Like, what are you talking about? But actually, dude, we were on the other side. I remember he was sitting in between some, like, flower pots. And I was sitting behind a big rock. He would be crouched down, and I would be crouched down. I would have the rocks, like, in a little pile, dude. I would have them. He'd pop up. And I would duck down super fast. I'll look up. A rocket comes super fast. I'll duck it back down. I'll grab it and throw that super fast, bro. And then, shoot, dude. One of the times I got. Hey, and one of the times I got him. We did it multiple times. Sometimes, like, we would just throw him and nobody would get hit. Yo, I'm getting off track with the video. But, yeah, there's a time to embrace and a time to turn away. Like, there's a time to embrace the little moments, you feel me? And a time to turn away from them. Like, I was getting too into that moment. And now it's time to lock back into the video. It's a time to love and a time to hate. Like, I realized that, thing about being human, when something feels good, it's like you don't really computate in your mind right or wrong. And growing up in this world, they teach you a lot of stuff that isn't right by God. And it's never going to be right by God because it diminishes the human experience. And so when you realize that, you start to hate the old systems, but you realize that those old systems just they just like highlight a part of yourself that you hate because you were a part of them, and then you get to be something different. And I think that's pretty awesome. Okay. Oh yeah, like light is information. This is another verse from a class D's, dude. I don't know how to say it. I'm not gonna lie. Wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. For the wise can see where they're going, but fools walk in the dark. Yet I saw that same wise and that same foolishness share the same fate. Both will die, I said to myself. Since I will end up the same as the fool, what's the value of all my wisdom? This is so meaningless. For the wise and the foolish both die. The wise will not be remembered any longer than the fool. In the days to come, both will be forgotten. I mean, you could say that, but I think that the wise, they aren't for. Oh yeah, let me get my own take on that. The wise, they aren't forgotten. They are just eternalized into something non-physical. Like, think about it. All the greats are, let's say, our mainstream media today is ran by certain companies, right? And those companies have ties to mainstream products, like the products that we get from stores or the cars that we see on our American streets 24/7. The companies that actually, you feel me, are in charge. Those creations that they are using, like vehicles, refrigeration, technology itself, it all has a creator. The wise are being used every day. They're just not being recognized. Like he said, the fool and the wise will get the same amount of recognition, but that's because he was thinking from a human perspective. And the wise, they will always be eternalized because their gifts will be used. Like right now, the gift that I'm using the gift of knowing God to make this video. And I'm talking from my heart space. That's why it might seem like, well, I had a couple of people ask me like, or say that I talk different than in my videos than I do in person. And it's because in these videos, I have to try to think from my heart space, because as I grow to know God, I learn how infinite he is, how much power there is, and the power is inside of me, so I can speak for it. And that's what I try to do in my videos. But it's still a process. Like, I'm still learning about it every day. And this is just like a little like peek into the journey, I guess. I mean, I do like making content as well, but the journey that you have with God is something personal. You feel me? That's why, I don't know. That's just why. Let me see. What does verse say? The Lord knows the thoughts of the wise. He knows they are worthless. So don't boast about following a particular human leader, for everything belongs to you, whether Paul or Apollos or Peter, or the word of life and death, or the present and the future. Everything belongs to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. Yeah, dude, we literally are the infinite universe experiencing itself in a small little finite moment. You are literally like this big, but you're pretending to be this small right now. And it's like a experience. So it's like knowing that everything you are is a little like joke. I'm looking at my reflection in another mirror right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't notice that my reflection was there before. Dude, my hair is getting kind of long, I ain't gonna lie. But also, it's like I get chills. I get chills when I look at myself like I'm looking at a different entity. Because I know I'm my soul, but it's like I'm looking at this dude and I'm like, bro, you want to hit? Like, bro, what you looking at, nigga? Like, you want to do something? But it's like, it's only because I'm looking at my own eyes, and it's like a predator, bro. I feel like a freaking animal, dude. I don't know. It's like an effect. I was like, bro, what you trying to do, bro? Do I look like that? People don't like I just want to fight, bro. Maybe I should start smiling more. Cause holy, that dude giving me chills. Like, fix your face, nigga. Before I fix it for you. Yeah, I'm too funny. But on some real shit. God will destroy. This is from Corinthians 3. I probably should have said that before. But God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. Stop deceiving yourself. If you think you are wise by this world's standards, stop deceiving yourselves. If you think you are wise by this world's standards, you need to become a fool to be truly wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God, as the scriptures say. He traps the wise in the snare of their own cleverness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise. He knows they are worthless. So God knows every single little quantum bit that you're going to add into the equation. Then speak to God plainly and use plain words. I'm not going to lie, on this human experience, that has been one of the harder parts of it, because if I'm seeing all of these abstract details in my mind, I want to paint an image of what I see in my mind because of what I'm feeling and experiencing with my words. But the human vocabulary is not made to fit the understanding of God, because God is something that is outside of space-time, and space-time is what we have been grown to comprehend with our senses, because we are inside of space-time. So if you want to speak to God, speak plainly as you are now, and speak to God as you know God, because God is yourself. That's so cool, dude. It's like, just literally exist. Enter the flow state and just rise beyond. Like, that's been one of my catchphrases. Enter the flow state and rise beyond. But if the world is burnt up, the builder will suffer. I ain't gonna lie. I look, you don't want to keep reading this. Enter flow state and rise beyond. That's